Good evening, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer live on Zelda Speedruns. It's the Challenge Cup 2021. And after an intense group stage, we are now in brackets. It's a single elimination bracket. And this is round number 2. ZenArcane versus Miller84. I hope you're all ready for some hype matchup. And without further ado, because you all want to see the action, let's switch to the layout. Let's say hi to our two fabulous commentators tonight, to Corey Vane and to Zesno. Take it away.
Hello there, I'm Zesno. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this pans out today. Corey Vane, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I am also super excited. These are fabulous runners, and this is guaranteed to be a fantastic match.
So just in case we have some viewers that haven't seen parts of this Challenge Cup this year, the settings for this are just a plain standard 7-7 Ganon. Nothing tricky, nothing too complicated, unless they have a tricky, maybe, weapon for the starting of Escape.
It'll be super interesting to see what Uncle gives us. We know already it's not going to be a sword because he's not carrying one out of the house, but anything else, any of the other 6 items are potential weapons, and some of them are way easier to go through the escape sequence than others.
So, what's something that you, let's just say as a runner, wouldn't want to see?
Personally, and I know a lot of runners agree with me, I hate seeing the Cane of Burnin to start with. It's a difficult weapon to finesse your way through the escape sequence with, and if you run out of magic in certain places, it's rough to try and find more, or you have to die to reset that magic, so hopefully not that.
Yeah, that's... Oh! Sword?
I was apparently mistaken earlier. It is a sword start, which is fantastic for our runners. It makes the escape sequence pretty vanilla.
Yeah, it's definitely the... Oh, and we've got bombs. I was just about to start talking about how bombs, and we're going to be looking at those drops to see if they can find a bomb. But yeah, sword definitely the easiest of all the starting items. Bomb starts is another one that I don't particularly like, but I find the biggest problem with the Cane of Burna start is if you're hunting for that bomb. You're trying to kill guards, you're not getting the drop, and then you start using too much magic.
Yeah, certain items are definitely hard to farm for bombs with, the Cane of Burna being one of them, the Cane of Samaria being another hard one. But in our case, the sword is super easy to farm with, but our runners don't even need to worry about it since they were able to pull some bombs early out of that very first chest.
We also got a rupee drop off the first enemy there, so that's not going to particularly be any good drops in here in general. It's nice to get some money, but... Oh, more bombs! Wow,
even more bombs.
Very kind.
That almost gives us enough bombs for both of our runners to do the entire opening of Kakariko Village without much worries.
Yeah, no, this is great. Even if they don't find bombs anywhere else, worst case, you can need to, like, we still have enough even to go to Bombable Hut at the base of Kakariko if they really want to do that instead of buying, depending on their rupee counts.
Indeed, and knowing that the guards are on the rupee prize pack means that they could farm for money in case they absolutely have to buy some more bombs.
With having 6 bombs, I very much doubt that is on the runner's mind, but for sure. With 6 bombs, I'm just going, oh yay! Thankfully, I don't have to worry about this anymore.
Absolutely.
You get into that situation in the back of Escape, you're waiting for those mice, those rats, and you're Ooh, speaking of fighter sword, see how we ZenArcane decides, no, I'm gonna go grab a pot.
Pretty smart there. It is really rough if you take a death this far down before you grab Zelda.
Miller just went and grabbed 2 pots, which is 2 pots will always kill that guard, but a lot of runners will do something similar to what ZenArcane did and pick one up. I normally pick one up on the way, personally. I just find it's an easier fight. Absolutely.
Using a sword is faster usually, but the pots are a much safer route to guarantee that you kill that guard without dying or having any other unfortunateness happen.
I think it's 2 swings plus 1 pot. I think. I could be wrong there.
I don't know off the top of my head, actually.
I've done it so many times that I'm just completely not sure. It's a pretty fast kill. You just have to make sure you don't get hit too many times by that big weapon. So we are going to be heading into the dark rooms. Thankfully, we do get a lamp cone to start off the game. Our runners don't have to do it completely blind. That would be an extremely difficult start to have every single race.
That would be quite rude. A reminder to our chat that the light cone that they get here for free is only available here in the back of Escape. Anywhere else that they find dark rooms will be dark unless they manage to find the lamp.
Yep, if you're learning this game, that's definitely one of the things that a lot of runners do start trying to figure out relatively early how to navigate some of those dark rooms. So here the snakes are on the same drop pack as the guards. So we're going to see our first drop the new drop pack in the next room on ZenArcane. Hey, look, money. Okay, well, now we don't have to worry.
Well, with a sword and bombs and money coming out of the escape sequence, there's not much our runners need to worry about early game here.
Definitely not. The big thing that we're now going to be looking for is, can they get 500 rupees by the time they get to the end of South Shore? If they can, then there's a higher likelihood that one of them may take the fake flipper route up to Zora.
Absolutely, and it's always better to have that option just in case they run out of other checks.
Sword. We have Master Sword.
Early Master Sword before the end of Escape. Interesting.
Zen opts to use an extra bomb, go the north route, and Milla will be saving the extra bomb, going the south route. Slightly slower, but saves that bomb.
Yeah, it's unlikely that that kind of divergence will actually amount to any significant time loss, but it always could. If they don't find any other bombs and they start running low, Zen may wish he didn't use that bomb early.
For sure. And hey, if this race comes down to a few second difference right at the end, that right there could be the difference. We have a pendant at Tower of Hera, a crystal at Eastern, and a pendant at Desert.
2 pendants in the light world. More Dark World dungeons will need to be done.
Yeah. Hey, at least there's a lower likelihood that something like Thieves Down is a pendant now, because that's always an annoying one when we get into the Dark World and find out, hey, the dungeon I want to go into is a pendant. Oh, thanks.
Very true. Very true. It's always terrible trying to make the decision of whether you dip that pendant dungeon because you can full clear it or not.
Milla's having some really terrible luck here. Got single rupees from the tree pull, and got single rupees from the bush crab.
The worst drop packs on both. Terrible. Both our runners do check Lumberjack Cave, find that it's just the red rang, and decide they're probably not going to see that again.
Not unless they have to come up. Even then, even if they need to do Aga, and they have to come up there for something like Bumper Ledge and have Mirror, they probably still won't get it. But that's a hook shot.
Hookshot, a much more interesting find. Not progression per se yet, but a very useful item for killing mini Moldorms and for speeding around the world just a tiny bit faster. It will also definitely be progression later on, if Swamp Palace is required, for instance.
Yeah, it'll always be the biggest thing for me when I get hookshot early. As you said, Mini Moldorm Cave, it one-shots them. That makes that really easy, especially if you don't have a sword. Our runners having Master Sword will have a little bit less of an issue, but is always nice. And it's the mountain access, being able to get to the right side of the mountain as soon as you do find the other items required. We do have a question in chat. Are all the runners in the same spot for both runners? Yes, they are. They have the same seed. Almost everything in the game will even be seeded. If they do Aga, there are some blue ball attacks that are not, you cannot reflect back at Aga, and both runners have the exact same ones, and the runners will have the exact same number of Ganon teleports at the end of the game as well. Yeah, everything will be exactly the same. It comes down to the runner's execution and their routing choices, more likely.
Absolutely. As our runners start into the village proper here, not much coming up so far, but Blue Mail is a nice find, a perfect safety to have, especially early game.
I will say 700, 800 rupees is definitely something to come out of it as well, because we do have that option to go get scammed by Zora, most likely, but once in a while, it's not a scam. That's not a scam.
That is not a scam, actually. That is our glove, which is the first piece of Dark World access that we need.
Okay, so now here's the big question. Do we find the other glove and a hammer and the Moon Pearl, or do we just find the lamp and have to do Aga?
Very true. A lamp at this point would also open up the mountain and allow, as you previously stated, getting to the right side of Death Mountain with that hookshot.
That's true, and especially, oh, here it is. Zen going, I'm just going to buy some bombs. I don't have enough. And with 800 rupees, that's definitely not a problem either.
Oh, money well spent there.
So yeah, it's the big thing is we're going to be looking for how do we get into that Dark World. We definitely want the Moon Pearl, and unfortunately the Moon Pearl can be sitting on Pyramid Ledge requiring Aga to be completed. It's probably the worst place it could be. Here it is, race game. That's a heart. Even with 3 hearts, I don't think either runner's going to go for it.
I don't believe so. Not runners of this caliber. Both runners choosing to check the race game before going for it.
Yeah, in a situation, in a race situation, anytime you're looking for your own items, there's so many items that you don't want compared to the ones you do want that on average it just saves time not to go through it.
Yep, I agree. I almost always choose to check unless Kakariko comes up with nothing, and in this case, Kakariko definitely came up with a few things for our runners.
Yeah, we have quite a bit to check now, so we're going to be checking things. Almost simultaneous hookshot block glitch.
That is a not trivial trick to pull off, and both of our runners getting it simultaneously and well executed.
This is some sync we've got going on here. So we're not going to get that rupee. We have too much cash. Just to explain that little bit of a glitch, when you are moving a block, you can pretty much shoot things through it. You can make it disappear with a mirror, you can shoot a hookshot through it, or certain other weapons like the fire rod is one that you will see often in Misery Mire. For whatever reason, the game just basically considers blocks non-existent while they're moving. Interesting strats from Milla.
There's our Moon Pearl.
Oh, ooh. This is definitely going to be interesting. We are now 1 item away from Dark World full, mostly full, at least, Dark World access. And it could be either the lamp to get to Aga, or the hammer, or the mitts.
Indeed, if that mitts come up, it doesn't open the entirety of Dark World. They would not be able to get to the East Dark World area where Pod is without the flippers or a hammer of some kind, but getting the hammer would give them full Dark World access, as would the lamp for Aga.
The hammer will not allow East Dark Death Mountain.
True. I was only referring to the lower Dark World. So
Yeah. So I was just thinking. So I was trying to. Oh, speaking of the mitts. Yeah. So here's the thing: the runners have a lot of options now.
Indeed, the world is really opened up to both of our runners now.
And here is that divergence.
It looks like Milla is going to go down and perform a fake flipper to do some of the water checks and possibly that Zora check you were referring to earlier. Zen, meanwhile, going over to the Kakariko village, probably going into the Dark World straight away.
Yeah, Village of Outcast area definitely has a lot of checks. You have a few checks in the front of Skull Woods, you have the front of Thieves Town, you have the 3 in Village of Outcasts itself, and the other overworld checks in the area. Green Pendant, Turtle Rock, and Red Crystals in Pod and Ice Palace. It always feels a little bittersweet seeing a green pendant in Turtle Rock.
I would say it is bittersweet to see any pendant on Turtle Rock.
Yes, but I feel even more with the... You're definitely right, and that's what I was going to say, but the green pendant especially, because it's that, hey, I don't have to do it, unless green pendant is something too.
Just that extra incentive that you might have to do a dungeon you don't want to do.
Very quick. Big key in Skull Woods, so probably going to do a bomb jump here.
Meanwhile, Milla is going to check the scam fish and see what is on sale today.
That's a scam. We paid 500 rupees to get 20 rupees. That is 100% a scam.
That is a multi-level marketing right there.
I think that was the first map check we had on Milla's side. That's surprising. But it kind of makes sense. That overworld route, he was probably just planning on doing it no matter what. So
he also probably, because he had no dungeons that they could complete, they decided, not worth checking yet.
Yeah, if you don't have a bow, you really don't want to go into Eastern until you clear everything else up. So you're probably just avoiding that anyways. Zen showing off the little hook shot through the spike in Skull Woods. It's a nice time save.
A less used time save too. I don't think we see that one very often.
I find I don't normally have hookshot in this dungeon. For whatever reason. It's just because it's normally done so early into the Dark World, you don't always have it.
Very true. Zen did find one item out of the 2 that are in Skull Woods, a full heart container coming up for him, but nothing else.
We're going to have to go to the back. It is a crystal, so we're going to the back anyways. Neither runner opting to skip the front of Skull Woods here, because skipping the front could allow them to do it back to front later and save a little bit of time. But if there's something important in here, it's important to get it now. So it's a strategic choice either way.
Indeed, Zen finding the Quake Medallion, which may very well be required with Misery Mire being a crystal.
And of course, that green pendant Turtle Rock could always be something as well. Milla in this room that nobody likes doing.
Now, without the Cane of Samaria or a Fire Rod to deal with the Gibdos, this room can be quite the challenge.
Yeah, you can see by the number of hits these enemies are taking. See, this is where you wish you had that boomerang. Because boomerangs will stun Gibdos. Digging game over on Zen.
A lot of money coming up, but not much else on that digging game.
We're just getting so much cash. Yeah, there's so much open. We even have something like Saha's Closet hasn't even been checked by either runner. That's just instantly available to our runners. So that Sphere 1 check could have something. But there's just so many better things to check right now.
There are. We're getting an early Smith chain from Zen's side. It'd be interesting to see whether this pays off and whether Milla does the same.
Definitely an interesting play that you don't always see, a very early mirrorless smith. If you're doing the rest of these checks anyways, it makes a lot of sense.
It does. Much more interestingly, for me anyway, Hype Cave coming up. Definitely could see something come out of here. 5 items, sorry, in here. A lot of potential for some progression in here.
Yeah, we're giving Jeremiah the world tour.
He's been stuck behind that rock for who knows how long.
Ooh,
Our first boss.
actually, yeah, that one. And there, look, there's the flipper. So, we've got a bunch of water checks in logic now.
That also can be used to get over to the pod area through the Dark World.
Yep, it's something they could definitely do.
And I'm going to agree with Chad on this. That was probably a 5 or 6 out of 10 hype. Nice middle of the ground hype cave there.
One of the really nice things for Zen with that is that he did get a bottle, and he has to return the smith. So he's going to go right by Sikkin with that bottle.
This is just convenient routing here, being able to line up several checks at the same time for the same reason.
Yeah, that one actually panned out. That was a great place for him to get a bottle. It's going to be a little bit more unfortunate for Milla if he does not have that.
Indeed, Milla giving us a check of the bumper ledge, which turned out to be nothing, just more money, which the seed seems to have plenty of.
Money and bombs. We have too much.
Picking up.
Yes, we get more bombs. Come on, game.
All bombs, all money, no progression.
Less boom booms, please. Give us something else. Or, I mean, bombos would be nice, but... And Sick Kid, what's he holding under his bed today?
Just a little bit of love.
Yeah, he's sick. I'm not sure he should be giving pieces of heart away.
That's probably why he's sick.
That could be. So now the question is, Zen, where are you going?
Be surprised if he is not going to Thieves Town. I believe he avoided it the first time, probably due to the fact that he doesn't have a hammer yet. Milla going straight in and finding another bottle.
That works out. Yeah. No, the big question is, do you do the back? You don't have hammer. There may be an item locked back there. We've already found 2 items. The big key will be one of the remaining 2 chests.
I think in this case, I would certainly do the back. It is a crystal. And the chance that the one chest in the basement has something super important that doesn't lock you out of other things and, kind of funnel you back to it eventually is worth the risk in this case.
So it's 2 items in the back. We found the map. We'll
Looks
see
like
if the
Milla
runners
is
agree with you.
Back.
Yeah. We've checked a lot of things already that we have logical access to. We are starting to kind of run out of logical checks. We do have a number of checks, things like the mountain, that we can still do. We can do pretty much the entire mountain, but it's out of logic because we have no way to get there that the game expects us to be able to do.
Indeed, and similarly, we have a lot of checks over in the East and East Dark World. Some of those are in logic, but none of the dungeons are completable.
So both runners opt to go to the back. Really hoping that they don't find out that there's an item in that big chest. But the good news for them is that they're both doing this, so neither one is going to gain or lose time on the other.
Indeed, both of our runners staying within a few screens of each other for the most part. We had a little bit of divergence there, but they kind of come back together. Milla, of course, have not done the Hype Cave checks yet.
But Zen hasn't done the Zora area.
Indeed, neither of those coming up with too much.
Nope.
And since there was another bottle in Thief's Town for Milla, the bottle that Zen found in Hype Cave is just a nicety.
So that's an item. There's 3 items. We found 3 items. There's 1 item left in this dungeon.
Indeed, both of our runners hoping that when they open the Maiden's chest, they do not find a key.
But then that creates an interesting problem, that the hammer will actually be logically required to get to blind. Now, of course, our runners aren't going to do that. They're not going to wait because they're here. But,
Frustration flashes from Milla as they find out that there may still be an item in that chest waiting for the hammer.
Yep. So there goes that. So hammer's not required for this dungeon because we found that small key. But that, yeah, unfortunately, that does mean now there can be an item locked behind the hammer. So, quick little thing here, because we're going to see the blind fight twice in rapid succession. First time you come into this room, blind does the exact same thing every single time. So if you know where to stand, you can get what we call a scripted fight, and you can kind of do it without getting hit, or with very little getting hit. Milla's slightly off script, but still doing very well. Zen is still on script. Good fight from Milla. Recovers for the no script very well, and Zen pretty much followed script.
And finding the lamp, which gives us access to several more things, including, most importantly, the mountain.
And a big sigh of relief, because the compass is in the hammerlock chest. So, Milla is going to follow towards the south, does not pick up the smith along the way. Yet, because going to do digging game first. You cannot do the digging game with the smith.
Yep, one of those unfortunate things that you learn as a new runner, because it doesn't make much sense, especially since it doesn't matter what follower you have. You cannot play the dig game if you have any follower, and that includes the purple chest. Even if you leave it a few screens away, the digging game master seems to know.
It's a little tidbit. Once in a while, you see runners completely forget about it.
It is unfortunate when it happens. Zen choosing to do the mountain checks we previously mentioned. There's a lot of checks up here that can be done now in logic.
Oh, yeah, because we can do all of Light and Dark Death Mountain, pretty much.
Indeed, all of Hookshot Cave, and we can see what the medallion requirement is for Turtle Rock.
The one thing we can't do is we can't do Tower of Hera.
Indeed, no hammer and no mirror means we have no way of getting over to the Tower of Hera. Not that our runners are probably very sad about that, as it is a pendant dungeon.
Yeah. And there aren't a lot of items up there that locks the items from Tower of Hera, of which there are 2, and then there's the one on Spectacle Rock that at least we get to see right now, and it's money, so we don't care about that one. And the other one is on the tablet. The 3 items locked up there still.
Indeed, and the tablet they would need the book for anyway, so at this point, there's only 2 items in Tower of Hera that they're going to have to go without.
Of course, unless we find hammer up here, or mirror. Hammer would at least could be nice because we could walk over. Mirror's actually probably easier. And there's the Hype Cave for Milla.
I think our runners would be happy with either case. There are 7 items here in Paradox Cave as Zen is now entering.
The upper or the lower? This particular cave is just confusing. It's a health refill. So
Milla
actually
going back and doing their Smith chain. I'd completely missed that they had grabbed Jeremiah, so they're also going to get the start of their Smith chain done.
Yeah, he did, but see, it's interesting. Milla's actually coming from the sanctuary, whereas Zen came from the home. Now, I don't think I saw anything good come out of Paradox Cave.
Zen did find a sword. That tempered sword is definitely nice. One of the best sword upgrades you can get. Certainly happy to see that. That plus their blue mail sets them up very nicely. A few more hearts would probably be appreciated by our runners, but they're set equipment-wise pretty well.
Yeah, they're pretty safe at this point. Gonna check the floating island.
Speaking of hammer.
But it's mirror locked.
That is the one place on the East Dark Death Mountain that they cannot get to yet. They are going to need the mirror before they can get there.
Yeah, we didn't mention that as a location that they can't get, so the game decided to point it out for us.
Yep, thanks, game.
It's anytime commentators say something that they forget, the game or the runners will instantly point it out for them. It's just kind of the way it works, somehow.
It's the opposite side of commentators' curse. If we mention something, it's more likely to happen. If we don't mention something, it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah. Oh, we need to not tell the runners that we caused that, because they're probably not happy that the mirror is there. They're happy to know where it is, but they're not happy that it's mirror locked.
I won't mention it if you don't.
So here we go. We're gonna get the hook shot trick on Zen's side. Gonna go right through the block. Yep. This part is a little tricky. There it is.
Nicely pulled off.
You just need to not be right along the right wall, and it works out. But it's really easy just to be standing on the wrong spot and not to be able to do that. Some more divergence here.
The Death Mountain paying off big for Zen. Finding that mirror that he needs, and he can get his hammer right away. And those are 2 big pieces of progression that he found.
Yeah, that's why I stopped mid-sentence. I'm going, Milla's going to take the purple chest. That's not the right route here in the end. It makes a lot of sense. This is a pretty good play, and it creates a little bit of divergence between them. But wow, Zen finding everything he needs up here for the foreseeable future. Does find out Turtle Rock is Bombos, so we can't get in there. Probably happy about that.
Probably very happy about that.
But with how this game's been on Death Mountain, one of these chests here is going to be Bombos. So this does open up, chat's bringing up, and it's a good point, this does open up Hera now. It's a pendant. Do you do
Indeed. In my case, I don't think so, because we also now have access to another dungeon, I believe. Swamp Palace is now in Logic, is it not?
Yes, Swamp is in Logic.
So now our runner, Zen, has to decide, is it worth going and taking another trip up the mountain or doing the pendant dungeon? It looks like he's going to save and quit out and not do Hera right now.
Yeah, leaves it. Swamp is a required dungeon. If he finds something like Book in Swamp, it'll also let him clear out the Ether Tablet simultaneously with Tower of Hera later. Unfortunately, you really don't want to do... you really don't want to do extra tower climbs. But this definitely feels good. Always clear Crystal Dungeons when you can.
Especially with Swamp Palace having so many items, 6 in total, if they're willing to do left side. Milla, however, staying away from Death Mountain entirely for now, finishing up some water checks. We'll see where they go after that.
It's a little surprising that we're not seeing the mountain just because of the density, but Milla probably just deciding to clear up a few of these outlying locations so that he can just go get everything left on Death Mountain all at once. Is Milla going to Eastern? To Saha's Closet?
This is an interesting play. Definitely to Saha's Closet. It'll be interesting to see whether or not they go into Eastern. I don't think they would, but maybe.
This is, I guess it's still a Sphere 1. You're in the area. Do the Closet, sure. But yeah, I hope he doesn't go into Eastern. Maybe he makes the play, figuring that Zen won't, and he's hoping that there is something there. But... oh, sword.
Finding their own tempered sword over in Saha's Closet.
Yeah, he's going to be happy with that, especially once he goes up the mountain and gets the gold sword done on swords.
Indeed, and the check did make sense, especially considering that he didn't know whether or not Zen had already made that check, and you definitely don't want to leave a Sphere 1 location too long if you think your opponent might have gotten something important there.
Yeah. The thing to note is that Zen will get that because he will most likely get that because he'll probably be back to go clear Eastern at some point because it is a crystal. The only way I can see him not getting that is if he's in Go mode before he gets to Eastern.
Absolutely, and the difference between Tempered and Gold Sword, if they do make it to Go mode, is negligible enough that it wouldn't make too much of a difference, at least on the Ganon Fight.
No, it helps a little bit in the climb, but not too much. Not compared to, say, Master 2 Tempered. Milla now on track, heading to where he needs to be.
Yep, meanwhile, Zen making their way through Swamp Palace at a good pace. It looks like they may be going over to left side.
Yep.
Indeed they are.
Good. Setting up the glitch to get through here and going to Diver Down, it looks like. Fire Snake always gets in the way with Diver Down.
Always. No Cane of Samaria means we get to see the bomb strat for Diver Down this time.
Yep, that's definitely one. Oh, he's got it. He just needs to, yeah, okay. Just to wiggle out of it a little bit.
First try, in fact, I believe. Very nicely pulled off by Zen there.
Yeah, definitely a trick that saves a lot of time in this dungeon. If you want to do left side. Which, generally you don't. But this is definitely, I think at this point, this is a good play. We're still looking for a lot of items. Well, you know, I say that, but it's not that many, but we have a number of items left.
Enough. We're going to need the Cane of Samaria, the Fire Rod, a bow of some kind. We may need the Bombos Medallion, and we definitely need the flute. Your first assessment was, I believe, correct. We are missing quite a lot of items still.
Speaking of Samaria, definitely required left side now.
Nice play there going to the left side then. It'll be interesting to see whether Milla does the left side as well, because that is 100% going to be required.
It's also sometimes about doing left side first versus the back. Runners will sometimes just go to the back if they can. I'm actually not sure where Big Key was, because I was watching Milla.
Big Key came up early in Swamp.
You know, I said that, and then I realized that Big Key's not required for the back.
It's not, but it does bring up a good point, though. If you find enough items in the front of Swamp, the map, the compass, the Big Key, you're more likely to want to do left side because you know there's more items there. So,
ooh, doing the one frame glitch. This is actually the Diver Down that I learned first. Very well executed.
Zen definitely showing off his skill as a Diver Down. Obviously practiced with this one.
Yeah, that one's definitely a lot trickier in terms of movement because you have there. It didn't look like it, but there were a few kind of exact, precise inputs you have to get there to get into that rail that way.
Indeed, as Zen heads towards the boss of Swamp here, Milla making their way through the rest of Death Mountain. They finished off the Light World, got their gold sword, and are now headed into the Dark Death Mountain area.
Argus, definitely a pretty fast fight once you have Tempered Sword. Pretty much got through it before the cycle started there. There is no way to get a fast kill here.
There's not. I did not think about that, yeah.
No rod, no bow.
But Zen does finish it off pretty quickly despite that and gets their first shield as a reward.
You know, we were talking about that hookshot trick in Super Bunny Cave being really tricky. You did just see what happened on Milla's side. That where if you're just a little bit off, it rejects you and you have to walk around. This happens a lot to all runners.
Milla probably very happy to find their mirror and know that they can get the hammer as well up here.
Yeah, so now here's the question. Where is Zen going? Oh, K45?
Looks like K45 with that mirror, putting it to use right away.
That makes sense. He hasn't done Purple Chest yet, so when he gets Purple Chest, he doesn't want to have to walk down here with it. If he does this first, he can just save and quit. Bombs are not helpful. More boom booms.
Hyrule seems littered with bombs today.
Yeah. We're finding all the bombs and all the cash pretty early. Like, look at the cash counts. Zen sitting with 1.3k. I think he hasn't done Zora yet, which actually means Milla has more. Up. Zen, going for an extra walk, decided to have some fun, jump off a cliff.
Gotta have some recreation in your exploration.
Yeah, gotta stay in shape. If you don't jump down the ledges every so often, you forget how and you hurt yourself.
Yeah, that's practicing for those diver downs where you have to jump down through water. That's how you get your practice in.
Yeah. So the kind of interesting thing with diver down is that you're effectively just jumping through blue air. The game doesn't recognize that there's actually water there anywhere except right at the edge where the stair is.
True. Zen finding nothing in hammer pegs after doing the slow, sad hammer pegs, unfortunately, without the boots. Milla making their way over. It looks like they might be planning on doing the Tower of Hera play here.
Sorry, I do have to laugh. We have a comment in chat with he's getting in extra steps for the Fitbit. Always. You gotta get that step counter going. Spike Cave.
An interesting choice here, not in logic because we do not have the Cane of Burna or the Cape, but doable with the hearts and potion count that we had. Ooh.
That's not something you wanted to see.
No,
just has to remember it's out of logic.
Yeah, that does open up Ice Palace out of logic, and it does open up Turtle Rock. It can't do anything in it, of course, because we don't have the Cane of Samaria yet, or at least Milla doesn't, but an interesting find there.
Actually, the Ice Palace point is very important. He could go straight from Swamp to Ice Palace.
He could, and it would definitely not be a bad play choice to make, being that both are crystal dungeons and they will be clearable, and he'll have the Cane of Samar. Well, no, he won't.
Well, if he does Swamp first, he will have Cane for Ice Palace.
It's true, if he does left side.
Yeah. That would be a great routing choice, and if you're cheering for Milla, that could actually bring up some time on Zen.
Indeed, Zen, meanwhile, taking the purple chest for a trip around the top of the Dark World, finding out the unfortunate way that you cannot fast swim while you have the chest behind you, because pressing that button drops the chest off in the water. Fortunately, it floats.
It's good that it's filled with air so that it doesn't go away. That must be a really lightweight metal, though.
Mithril chest, apparently. Interestingly, Milla looks like they're going to take the play early and go straight to Ice Palace with their Out of Logic Bombos medallion.
We are getting some confirmation in chat as well. That is something that you can fast swim as long as you just use any other button. Just not
Excellent
the A button.
point.
But a lot of people generally use the A button, so that can kind of get you in a little bit of trouble if that's your mindset when you come in here. But yeah, unfortunately, Milla going in here without Cane of Samaria is going to be not doing Icebreaker. That's nice. The fairy is giving a blue potion today.
Nobody says no to free blue potions. Milla not having that Cane of Samaria yet is going to take a little bit longer routing through Ice Palace than Zen will eventually. Answering a question in chat, Bombos does work for almost all of, well, it works for all of the rooms in Ice Palace that you would need the Fire Rod for, specifically all of the rooms that you would need to kill the Freezors in, and it does break Cold Stair's ice barrier, so you can use it to full clear Ice Palace.
Yes, so in general, Bombos is a logical replacement for this as well. The only difference is that our Bombos is technically currently out of logic.
Indeed, and it is good to note as well that it does take more magic to use than the Fire Rod does.
Yes, but it does a lot more damage. So in the case of something like Cold Stare, you end up using less magic to break him out. So it's a little all over the place on both sides there. Definitely use a lot more killing that first Freezor. Milla here with a bomb jump.
Ice Palace bomb jump, not as seen as often anymore with the advent of the Icebreaker, but definitely a good one to still maintain in the back of a runner's pocket, as it does come up often enough. 1 pixel off, it looked like on Milla's side. They're going to try again.
This is definitely a lot trickier than Icebreaker is, so when you see Zen go through, you'll see why. Icebreaker is also a lot easier to reset up if you mess it up, because you don't get thrown into a pit.
Ooh, Milla just not having the luck to line themselves up on this bomb jump. It is
last
tricky.
Attempt here, potion if he wants to keep going, but he's only got 1 bomb, so he's got 1 more chance here.
Chat pointing out correctly, the Butter Sword does make this a little more difficult. It's a little harder to line up pixel-wise.
I personally use the shadow and the foot position when I line up, so it doesn't matter to me which sword you use. There's the benefits and negatives of each setup there too.
And they get it on the last possible chance they had. Their last bomb. Don't fall in the pit.
Nope. Don't get. You have a hook shot. Just hook shot. Sometimes I think it's really easy to forget when you do a trick that many times, and then you get out of it. You're just so happy that your brain kind of stops working for a second.
That's true. My heart stopped there for a second as they almost got thrown into the pit by the fire bar, but they are through the most dangerous part, and they can progress with the rest of Ice Palace. Zen, meanwhile, cleaning up the overworld a bit.
Gonna see how the routing goes here, because Milla does not have a small key. Here we go, Bombos. Making sure to get both at the same time, very important. You definitely don't want to use Bombos twice.
Still no small key means they have to do the vanilla route around to that chest in the iced tea room.
Still.
Have we found a single item in Ice Palace yet? I don't think so.
I don't remember what was in Ping Gator Room. walking through a locked door, of course, because the game does not expect you to be able to get to the other side of that door.
Only the front of
it.
that door is locked, okay? Only the front is locked. The back is wide open.
So they have one-way doors. That's really cool.
Hyrule magic.
Wouldn't that be useful, like in a house, where you only had to use your key to get back into your house? If you wanted to leave, you could just walk out the door through it.
That would be pretty great, I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like I'd forget my key a lot, though.
Zen, meanwhile, doing some overworld checks, finding out there's nothing interesting on the pyramid, and decides to go back towards the pod area here. Pod being a crystal, but not full clearable until we find that bow. Potentially only 4 items to be found in here. He most likely will also mirror over and get their butter sword from Saha's closet.
We're gonna get another... Oh no, I was gonna say we're gonna get another bomb jump.
That bomb jump way trickier and impossible without more bombs.
Yeah. It seems somebody in chat tried to walk out their door without opening it. It didn't work very well. Yeah, that's... Unfortunately, we don't have doors that work if you don't open them.
Yep, got the wrong type of door.
Hmm.
More boom booms coming up in Ice Palace.
Yeah, a little bit of talk of the MSU pack being used. This ninja... Is it, sorry, I always forget this one. Gaiden? Gaiden?
I've always pronounced it Gaiden.
Gaiden. I can just never remember, so... Yeah, it's Ninja Gaiden. Yeah.
Indeed, and it is a fantastic MSU pack being used here on Millicide. Zen finding a small key in the first chest of Pod means it's not logically bow locked. Can progress at least a few more chests in. We'll see what else they can find here.
And speaking of logically bow locked, Zen will be able to get to the right side with his potions, because there's a potion glitch to get through there, even though it's logically locked. But he will not be able to get to the boss until he finds a bow. Meanwhile, Mila can get to the boss. Hasn't found anything important yet.
Nothing coming up yet, and Zen looking like they are in fact going to use the potion glitch to progress to the right bowlocked side of Pod here. A nice quick kill on Milla's side on Cold Stare.
Yeah, that was fast. Mila cleared that boss before Zen cleared the 3 berries. Like that was very fast. Nope, having a little bit of an issue getting mimics in the right place. Nope. Other way. Oh, he's just not going to kill them. He's just going to walk them off. That works too. So just a little bit of an explanation on that glitch. If you can you either kill the 2 green ones or get them off screen, and you get the red one off screen because it can only be killed with a bow, the game realizes that you have no enemies on screen, so you must have killed them and opens the door. I totally missed what was on the boss on Ice Palace.
I believe it was something pretty useless. A small denomination of money or something. I didn't see anything useful come out of there. Zen, though, finding the cape in Pod, which we know Bumper Ledge is not required, but the cape is a really nice safety to have, especially late game for the Ganon Fight, for example.
Oh, Cold Stare actually had the small key, so I believe, yeah, that does mean that you logically needed some Maria for that.
I believe it does, and Milla probably knows that as well now.
About to find Samaria.
But yeah, they're about to find Samaria anyway if they do left side, and probably be a little sad that they went to Ice Palace first instead of Swamp, but Crystal Dungeon completed is a Crystal Dungeon completed.
Yeah, and well, I mean, the other thing, so right now on Milla's side, he completed Ice Palace, but it is out of logic because he technically didn't have the items required to get the Bombos, and actually didn't have the items required to get to the boss. So it's twice out of logic. About to be once out of logic, and then once he goes to Pod, it'll be fully in logic, but there was nothing in there to remember that it was out of logic anyways. So question, is the cane logically required for ice? Yeah, so I'm not going to say I'm an expert in Ice Palace logic because I'm absolutely not. It's quite a confusing dungeon until you learn every case. But in general, the game's logic ensures that you cannot lock yourself out of completing the dungeon. And I don't know if you know more about this particular lockout, Corvin.
I know enough. As you mentioned, the randomizer will always make it so that you cannot key lock yourself in a dungeon. And if Cold Stare happens to have a small key, the only way that is logically possible is if you use the Cane of Samaria in the room before it. So having a small key on Cold Stare meant that the Cane of Samaria was required for that particular layout. It is not always required. Also, going back a little bit, the flute coming up in Pod for Zen.
That's a required item, very important. So Pod definitely helping out here, giving you both the cape to eventually get Bombos, and the flute to get Meyer.
Chat also telling us that Fire Rod was in Eastern. I completely missed this as well, if that's the case. Potentially only a bow from Go Mode for Zen.
Yeah, I totally missed that as well. And the updated on the trackers for us now too. So yeah.
Interesting. If Bombos is required for Misery Mire, then Zen will need to go and find that before they'll be in Go Mode as well. But we, of course, know where that is. So the only thing we are looking for is the bow.
And there are two of them. Well, we've already got chat guessing at the ridiculous places it could be. Laser Bridge. But yeah, just don't forget that only one bow is actually required to be able to do all this. So the other one can be somewhere just as ridiculous as the Moldorm 2 chest and is just not supposed to be found. So we could just be looking for the one that's available.
Very true. Zen putting that Fire Rod to use right away, going right back to Skull Woods to finish it off. Also of note, Milla not skipping left side swamp is going to find their Cane of Samaria, which was a required item to get through Misery Mire later on for them. So good that they did not skip this.
Because the only other thing that could also come up beyond the fact that we're looking for the bow is that we don't have boots yet, and there is a 1 out of 22 chance that they are required.
I can't remember the last time I watched a race and the big key was on the torch. It is 1 out of 22. It is absolutely possible. It's just been a while since I've seen it, so...
I was definitely in one that had like 16 people, and the boots, it was interesting, were in like the last chest in Laser Bridge, and for whatever reason I kept going and everybody else skipped it, and I actually placed one of the best I've ever placed in a race because everyone had to go back looking for the boots. I still didn't win, but it's definitely something that happens once in a blue moon.
Love to see it, hate to see it.
Chat telling us that one of the tournament games, the big, probably main tournament, had that happen just the other day, but both runners had boots. You have to have that case of both. The boots were locked. Boots are locked really late, and the GT big key is on torch. So we have a moth fight on Zen's side, and well,
and now the moth fight's over.
And the
blink
other thing,
and you miss it.
Milla actually pulled off the 1-frame diver down in the back as well.
They did indeed. It took them 2 tries, but they did an expert job at pulling it off.
I almost never see that trick anymore, and both these runners have actually pulled that one off. That's impressive.
Neat. I know it would take me way more than 2 tries to get that one.
Yeah. If you menu buffer or pause buffer the diagonal input, it makes it a lot easier.
Zen taking that flute to good use right away as well, and going to check the mire area.
This makes a lot of sense. Hoping it's not Bombos. He's hoping. If you're cheering for Milla, you're hoping it's Bombos.
It is not, unfortunately, Quake, which is one of the very first medallions we got about an hour ago, 40 minutes ago, maybe.
Yep. Speaking of mirror tricks, or block tricks, there's the mirror delete we were talking about earlier, and we find Ice Rod while Milla finds a crystal.
Not something we want to see.
Okay, so we have in logic Bombos and in logic Ice Rod. So, and yeah, okay. Chat's already saying go on Trinex.
They know where this is going.
Yep. You know what? Forget that. It could be on Green Pendant.
It could. Trinex now having 2 items, potentially 3, because Ped is available as well.
Ped. We're just gonna keep pumping it up. That's as bad as you can get at this point.
Pretty much.
There is some comment. I think was the cape in the bow locked chest?
It was indeed. It was on the bow lock side of pods. So an excellent point there from chat. If Berna is available, then Trinex could be locking the bow, because the Bombos medallion was in Spike Cave, which requires a invincibility item to get to.
Yeah, so we have a very, very long chain of out-of-logic possibilities here between Bombos being locked behind the cape and the cape being locked behind the bow. But we shall see.
Best to just see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Zen making their way through Misery Mire, while Milla does take the pod play. I think they were running out of checks anyway, but this is a good thing for them. They will find their flute in here.
So Milla is following in Zen's footsteps here.
Indeed, Zen finding the early big key in Mire and deciding to go straight to Vitreous.
Get it done, see what items are back there, and that way you know what you're looking for.
I agree. If Vitreous happens to have an item, that's one less item that you end up looking for in the front of Mire.
We got the fire rod shot there. think we're looking at potentially a spooky here. Oh, misses the shot. Misses the shot. Waiting for it. Ooh. Gonna have to do it the slow way, unfortunately.
You have a nice attempt there. You do have to hit the anti-fairy correctly in order to get that spooky action glitch, even if you have everything else set up correctly. So definitely not a trivial trick, but a very fun one to see and pull off.
Yeah, I know a lot of runners really, if they don't get it the first time getting through... Oh, gets it. Gets the second one.
So he did have it set up correctly on the Ancilla, and just was missing the anti-fairies there. Well done.
Yeah, a lot of runners can have issues with that if you don't get it right away. One of the big things is you get the timing down so you know exactly where to stand and how to hit the anti-fairy, and if you don't get it in that moment, it gets a little tricky. No magic, unfortunately, because of those fire shots.
Zen's going to have to be careful here.
So we can't use cape strats. Oh, there it is. Now we're going to get cape strats. Or just spins. We have enough health. That works too. With Gold Sword, that works very, very well. Normally you'd see the bow pulled out here, but that's what we're looking for.
Milla
Nice
finding
skill.
their flute as Zen finishes off Vitreous.
Zen takes the crystal lead again, 4-3.
Indeed, and not finding any item on Vitreous means he is going to have to go back in and find the items in Mire.
Yeah, I think we're going to see, it's not worth leaving at this point. That's too big of a risk. Unfortunately, it has to do this room again, the second room in Mire.
Yeah, the good thing about doing this room right after Vitreous is you're guaranteed to have sword beams, which make this room a whole lot faster.
Yeah. More consistent, too, because you just stand where you know you're going to be and hit both of them. Okay, so where does Milla go? Activate the flute, probably.
Absolutely. First things first, got to activate that flute, and then we'll see where they go. Maybe they go straight to the Mire area. Zen still looking for that ever-elusive bow.
Gonna do the cutscene just. It sounds exactly... It is exactly what it sounds like, and this is why nobody likes doing it.
Absolutely. This is the longest little cutscene in the game, tied, I think, for Pod's cutscene.
The nice thing about pods is you actually see the wall move. In this particular case, you just get frozen and your screen shakes.
Milla, in fact, does take that flute immediately to the Mire area. So they will likely be following in Zen's footsteps pretty soon.
Unfortunately, if you're cheering for Milla, that's not a good thing. It definitely makes a lot of sense to do this. But Milla seems a little bit behind Zen at the moment. It is random. That doesn't mean that Zen really has any lead yet. Until they find that bow, we won't really know.
Very true. It is a crystal dungeon, so they are going to get something out of the way here. The problem is that they left the Eastern behind and did not grab their fire rod, which is going to be important.
Where is this bow?
Well, we are running out of locations.
Yeah. Has anyone? No, yeah, someone did catfish. I'm pretty sure someone did catfish.
I don't think Desert has been ducked into yet.
Desert? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, catfish with more bombs. Yeah,
more bombs. Of course it was.
if One of the runners did it. We didn't see it. It was probably bombs.
Or it's we forgot about it because they've picked up bombs so many times. It more and more feels like it's in a pendant dungeon. No one's been in Tower of Hera yet, have they?
No. Milla looked like they were going to do it early, but they decided against it and went down to do Spike Cave instead, which gave them their out-of-logic bombos, but nobody has gone into Desert or Hera yet. Both pendant dungeons, both having only 2 items, but it's looking more and more like one of those 2 items is what we need.
Now, I can't remember, is there a Spike Cave logic that allows them to do it with just potions and hearts once they have enough?
There is indeed. I believe it's 12 hearts and at least 1 bottle, but somebody else in chat can probably correct me on this. So there is a way that they could have got Bombos without a bow being, or without a invincibility item being required.
So that would actually put it in logic for Zen. We were being told that logic was taken out. So there's
that would make a difference.
Yeah. So okay. Well, we'll see. Maybe confirmation one way or the other.
Yeah, dubious on whether or not TR is in logic or not, but Desert and Hera definitely are.
Yes. As we get into Desert and it's locked by boots.
Almost certainly.
At this point. Oh no. Oh no.
Zen running out of magic at a very unfortunate time, having to use his potion for the Vitreous fight, not having a refill. He's going to have to go around and do it again.
Yeah, sorry, I'm laughing because chat's doing the usual thing. It's boots, locked bow, and Desert.
You gotta speculate. You gotta speculate.
But
so interestingly, both runners doing Ice Palace, but having a different fire source for each. Milla having the Bombos and making it through without the Cane of Samaria, so they had to do the bomb strat. But Zen going through with the Cane of Samaria, doing Icebreaker, and running out of magic with the Fire Rod at an unfortunate time. So both taking longer in Ice Palace than you'd think given their loadouts. Just due to unfortunate circumstances.
That's a good point. All of a sudden, that red boomerang on Lumberjack Ledge could have been used there a little bit for the glitch to regain some magic.
Now I think you're stretching to try and find a use for that useless boomerang here.
Hey! It wouldn't have made up the time of doing Hall of Aga, but all items are important, okay? But some are more important?
Yes. Swagnet is important. Oh, Zen taking an unfortunate unintended fall means he still doesn't get that room's chest.
Oh, he says forget it.
Interesting choice here. We know that chest didn't have anything important, but Zen does not. It'll be interesting to see how long that weighs on his mind. Because when you leave a chest behind for any reason, it's always there, wondering whether or not that was the one item you needed.
That said, he could just walk right back in with Icebreaker and just walk right to the room. If he's worried about it.
He could. I cannot fault him for leaving it behind either. It's rough. If you mess up on getting a chest a couple times, you can start to get tilted and suffer time just because you're thinking too much about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. We'll see how it pans out in the end. The one thing that I would be concerned about is that they're basically looking for that one bow, and you don't really know where it is. So he is opting to leave it behind, which we know is actually correct in this particular case. Says, forget it, I don't want to waste more time in this dungeon.
Where is he going now, I wonder?
Into Eastern.
Did he duck out as soon as he found the fire rod in Eastern before?
He must have.
We missed the fire rod altogether, so maybe
Yeah.
there's more checks in here he can do. Milla, meanwhile, defeating Vitreous and getting their crystal. That's crystal number 4 for them, tying up the crystal count.
If the bow is in Eastern, this will be very good for Zen.
I'm sorry, the crystal count is not tied up since Zen just finished off their cold stare fight.
Yep. Still a question in chat. Yes, Pod has been visited. Pod has been cleared, except for the boss, which is bow locked. Hard bow locked. We even cleared the bow locked section. The question now is basically which runner is going to check that bow location first.
Indeed, finding a bow here in Desert for Milla would be a fantastic find, but they're still going to need to make their way to Eastern eventually to find their fire rod so they can do Skull Woods.
Yeah, but if Milla finds the bow in Desert, he goes straight to Eastern to go clear the crystal.
True. Looks like they are leaving Desert behind, though, still.
That would have... I see what they're thinking, and this makes sense, but just for us knowing where he is and knowing where Zen is, Desert would have been good. Where is he going? Oh.
Finish off the purple chest smith chain, I believe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Zen has already checked all this, so we know that this is not going to be the answer that Milla is looking for. But from their point of view, this is a pretty good check.
Yeah, there's 2 items here. Knowing that the hammer was locked in an awkward place.
Eastern
Zen
coming
finds
up
a heart.
bowless again.
So, where do you go? Do you do Desert? Do you do Tower of Hera?
Looks like
Tower
he's
of Hera?
opting for the mountain.
It does have Spike Cave up here, too. Which he is going to be very unhappy to see. If Bo is not in Hera, he's probably going to go straight to Spike Cave, since he's here. And that's going to push him towards Turtle Rock.
Quite possibly.
At this point, if you're cheering for Milla, you're hoping for a bow in Desert and for Milla to go there right now.
Looks like not going to get the wish. Maybe they're holding off.
Thinking about it.
They found something else to do in the overworld, it looks like. Maybe you decided to do that purple chest after all?
Maybe. If that's true, this is quite a long time loss to leave that and go all the way back.
Indeed, Zen finding the magic powder in Tower of Hera, which does open up one more check.
Apparently, Milla has already done that. Has done purple chest. This could be checking Graveyard Ledge.
Graveyard Ledge, yeah. Zen, I believe, already checked this, so we know this is not also going to be the answer. Speaking of fetch quests,
we got mushroom and powder in Tower of Hera.
Zen finds the double fetch quest in Tower of Hera. The fetch quest tower, apparently.
There's the 2 items. Gets out of there. Now, the only problem here is that if it's on pet, Zen's going to have to come back for that pendant.
Yep, long shot like that. I think I would have also taken the same route that Zen did. Duck out of there and come back if you have to. With the Harapot trick, it is pretty quick to go back in and kill the boss if you have to.
There was a momentary pause before the save and quit on Zen's side.
Yeah, that was the moment of realization, one could say.
No, really? And looks like he will just go and do... Nope. Just gonna
no,
go
he's gonna check those fetch quests first.
Oh, fetch quest. I think the other thing too is that if they're able to do desert very quickly, it may be easier to get that out of the way, see if there's something there, and then go to Tower or Turtle Rock. The only problem is that it could be boots locked. That's useful.
Finding a bottle right when you need it. Thanks, game.
Except she gave you an empty one. She's like, "Oh, thank you for the mushroom. Here's an empty bottle. Pay me to fill it."
Well, yeah, I can't give away all your product. Going back to your previous comment, I think I would do desert first. With the flute, it is pretty quick to go in there and check. Even if it does end up being boots locked, it's probably still worth checking before you dive into Turtle Rock.
Chat's having fun with that business plan. Gives you a free bottle. That's the business plan. Gives you a free bottle, but says you got to pay me to keep filling it. Yeah, it's a good way to make money. They can't pay you if they don't have a bottle. There it is. Tower of Hera was the... That means both our runners were right there a lot earlier, and both opted not to do it.
Indeed, both have bypassed Hera, I think, at least twice, and not done it, and that turns out to be the answer all along. Zen in a very good position now.
Hour and 21 minutes, I believe we're in most likely go mode.
Well, I like that most likely addendum you put on there.
There is a just under 5% chance that's not going to work.
Rando's built on those less than 5% chances.
Oh, yeah.
Milla finding their Fire Rod finally in Eastern, which has been available since the beginning of the game, now that we think about it. Both runners putting it off a pretty long time. Milla finally getting theirs, which means they can go and complete Skull Woods. Unfortunately, that will keep them away from Hera for a little bit longer.
Yeah, on a positive note, Milla going out of his way to do Crystal Dungeons is thankfully not going to waste too much time. Because they need to be done no matter what. But at this point, I think if you're cheering for Milla, you're hoping for big key on the torch. Like, you almost have to be.
I think so. Milla's not as far behind as it seems because they have been doing Crystal Dungeons, like you say, but there is enough of a time difference that there's going to need to be something that holds up Zen at this point for Milla to catch up.
Yeah. Yeah, Milla would just have to route it very well and somehow gets lucky getting through it. I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, Zen has cleared a lot of the world. There really isn't much more he can do, even if he goes on a boots hunt.
Yeah, boots, if they aren't found in Ganon's Tower, are the only place left is probably Turtle Rock. The other bow being in Desert, if Milla decides to go there, would also catch her up a little bit of time.
A little bit. Getting silvers will help, but unfortunately I don't think enough.
True. I was mostly talking about if they decide to do Desert instead of Hera and find a bow there, which means they wouldn't have to do a fetch quest or Tower of Hera.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Long
Yeah.
shot.
That's... I think it'll save a little bit. Again, it's not enough. But if we can get a few of these little bits... Yep, Milla leaving. Fortunately, he did not find what he was looking for. We're probably going to see Skullwoods first, because it's completable. Get it out of the way. And that is King Helmasaur. Six dungeons completed.
Yep, a quick mirror here over to finish off Eastern, and Zen will be ready to go take on the tower.
It looks like we will not be getting a look at Pyramid Fairy today. Unless, of course.
Unless.
As a runner, you have that this time, like, you're skipping checks now, you're going, you're pretty confident, and you're just, in your head, you're going, please, please don't be on Torch. Please, please don't be on Torch. It's actually the same thing you're thinking when you're going up there if you don't have Kena Samaria as well. Please, please don't be on right side.
True. Pretty much any time you go to Ganon Tower unable to full clear it, you're thinking, please, please don't be where I can't get to.
Yeah. Because that feels bad. That just, when that happens, you're going, oh, if my opponent checked. Although, from Zen's perspective, he's checked so much of the world.
This is true. Zen may feel behind, even though we know that they're in the lead by enough. They may feel behind because of how many checks they've had to do to find some of the things.
Yeah, I would be a little nervous about that bow location, just because how much earlier he was up there. And he could have gotten the bow way earlier and just gone into Eastern once instead of dipping it and then clearing it and then coming back to beat the boss.
Yeah, at this point he's done a triple dip of Eastern.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of a time loss, but so he's going to feel bad, but he's in the lead, so it worked out okay. Partially because Milla did the exact same thing and ignored Tower Repair. Oh, and yeah, chat mentioning the little bit of a issue in ice.
When you get close to the end and in go mode, it's kind of hard not to think back on all of the little mistakes that you made throughout and feel like they may be what's putting you behind right now.
Yeah. Even when you're ahead. Very, very clean fight from Zen.
A very nice quick kill.
When the worst thing you did was use an extra arrow, that's perfect. Ah, yes, we have all 7 crystals. So, we'll ask chat to join us in our usual game. There are 22 chests or locations that the big key can be in Ganon's Tower. What number do you think it will be? Corvain, do you have a guess?
I do. In fact, my guess is always number 13, which, depending on routing, could land it in some interesting locations. What about you?
I always say 8.
Another good number. Chat filling up with good number guesses here.
Ah! That's, yeah. So there is a bot working now. So if you put your guess in before the bot, put your guess back in with the word exclamation mark bet and your number. So our runner's basically standing in the same place. Unfortunately,
I don't like where this is going.
Is not where he needs to be. So right now, you're really, really hoping. What is he looking for? Oh, the bow still.
Yep, and I hope he's not doing what I think he's doing.
Well, here's the thing. If there is a bow and boots in the front of Turtle Rock, And the boots are required for GT. That could be good.
It could.
Like that's what you're hoping for if you're a fan of Milla.
Well, this could also be really bad.
Yeah, if that's not the case, or if Zen finds the big key, then unfortunately Milla's too far behind.
Yeah, it'll be Zen's race to lose at this point.
Zen would have to fall quite a few times to Ganon. So here it is. 1 piece of heart. 2 Smokey. Smokey's always nice to have.
Looks like he's going to go for a full right side play here.
That's a pretty common route when you find that key. With a hook shot, Milla using the room reset to fall into the pit. Hey, look, the book. Milla finds the book.
Not happy about that find.
Just more things to lead him down the wrong path. So we
Chest
got
number
rupees
3,
and bombs.
20 bucks. All right.
Yep, so that's 6 chests altogether. Nothing. So here it is. Moment of truth coming up. Check number 7. Nope.
Just a map today. Boots not
are
required.
Not required. So, officially, yes, Zen was in go mode at 121.
Indeed, and I think at this point it is his race to lose. Milla needing to go to Hera, find their powder, go find their bow at Magic Bat, and finish 2 dungeons to catch up.
11.
Number 11 is the chest today.
So congratulations to anyone who guessed 11. Ostismo. Yes, Ostismo. Congratulations. You've been picked out here by the bot as our winner. Yeah. The little problem not having silver is these red mimics are a little bit of a pain. This is a good setup. Interesting. It's a safe one.
Yeah, nicely done there.
I don't think I've seen that before, but I like that setup. It really makes sure you can't get hit anywhere.
I think that's actually the setup that I used to.
Oh. I don't have a consistent setup that I use, so that's why it's interesting.
Everyone has their setup that they use until they get hit, and then it's, free for all in that room.
Yeah. So,
Zen heading up into their gauntlet.
As we can say, Milla continuing on here in Turtle Rock, not finding anything. I'm curious where the second bow is.
Well, fortunately, if we don't find it, Ganon will be nice enough to tell us where it was. Overall, a pretty clean gauntlet from Zen. A few extra arrow shots is all to finish off the Stalfos early on, but otherwise very clean. And on to the Lanmo 2 fight already.
Takes the powder, gets the health refill. Always a nice little thing to have here. Taking a few extra seconds in that room does slightly change the spawning pattern of Lanmo, but not a significant problem.
With Buttersword, almost nicer to delay going into that room a little bit so all the Lanmos come up at the same time and you can hit them with one sword spin.
Yeah, especially without silvers. If you know your silvers, sometimes you'll get all the one hits. But yeah, nice Samaria rooms.
Very clean. Very satisfying rooms, those with the Cane of Samaria. This room, however, not having boots is kind of annoying.
Actually, this is a good point being also brought up by chat that if the Bombos is out of logic because of no invulnerability item, then this whole thing would actually be out of logic.
True. Probably Milla hoping against hope that they're making the gamble that one of the invincibility items was in Tower Para or Desert to put this in logic and trying to shortcut to it.
Yeah. And that could be a good play to try to pick up a little bit of time. If he feels behind, then this could be that, I'm going to do it. And maybe if my opponent waited for the invulnerability item, I will just go grab it first.
Absolutely. It's one of those gambles that I can see why they made it, and I don't fault them at all for making this play.
No, not at all. This seed has not been kind to our runners. We are getting that Moldorm 2 fight.
And it's over.
With Gold Sword, that this fight lasts very, very short time. It's 2 hits and you're done. Yeah, there's a question in chat about the logic and why it matters in this case. The thing is that Milla is looking for a bow, and he needs the bow to finish the game, and the game, right now, according to the items he has, cannot expect him to have been in this dungeon. It cannot expect him to be here. So because of that, the items, the bow that the game expects him to get cannot be in this dungeon. Unless that other item that opens up the logic is found, could have been found somewhere that he has not yet checked, but has access to. And yeah, and as mentioned, there is also the possibility that the second bow is in here.
Whereas logic can help dictate where you should go because it's more likely to find useful stuff there. Meanwhile, Zen finishing off Aga 2 very quickly, having a very nice triple on their first set. Would have had a triple on the second one, but Aga decided not to shoot a fireball. So had to go with a 3-2-1 to get their Aga 2 down. On to the big pig for Zen.
Actually, it is interesting because Milla is missing the cape completely. So he actually doesn't even know it's bow locked. He just knows it's out of logic. So yeah, here's the Ganon fight. As Corvain mentioned earlier, we will get a hint as to where this other bow was.
Yep, Gold Sword making very quick work of the first 2 phases of Ganon, almost straight onto phase 3.
This is where those teleports, and there was that question earlier from one of our viewers about the seeding in the game. Both runners will have the exact same number of teleports here. It is a little random. You cannot hit him after every teleport, though he's being super kind here.
Yep.
So, okay, don't do it this time. Wow! Okay. They were in GT.
Looks like the second bow was in fact in GT, so the only bow available to Milla was on Magic Bat.
And powder was in there for Magic Bat, and the mushroom was in there for fake powder.
I didn't even think about that. You're very right. All of the only way to get a bow, logic or in logic, out of logic, was to go through Tower Vera.
Yeah, that was a required heritage. That's rough, especially considering both runners were there so early and went, it's a pendant with 2 items. I'm not going to go in now.
Zen making very quick work of Ganon here, already through most of the spins he needs. And with that, Ganon is down. He only needs to make it across the 3 pixel gap to get in the door.
Get your GGs in chat under the assumption that he makes it across this dangerous bridge.
And indeed he has. Zen taking the victory here.
Yeah, he does come in first with a race time a GG time of 1 hour, 38 minutes, and 22 seconds. So, wow.
GG to Zen. Very well played by both of our runners. Unfortunately, the items trolling our runners and staying in places that they just happen to not dip into, the fire rod being in Eastern, and the required chain to get the bow being in Hera.
We are joined by ZenArcane in the commentary booth. GG. Okay, we'll give that one moment, and meanwhile, Milla does pick up the bow and is in go mode. 1:39:30, about 18 minutes later.
I had my headset plugged into the wrong thing.
Oh, yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, GG, Zen.
So, ZenArcane, GG.
Thank you very much.
And I am just going to... Oh, never mind.
So, what are your thoughts on this seed, ZenArcane?
It wasn't overall really bad. The bow became really trolly because I didn't check hair when I was up there. I had mirror. I could have gone and checked it, but I thought after getting that hammer, I had way too much I wanted to do. I had, crystal dungeons I could clear, so why am I going to go dip that pendant when I'm up there? I'll come back later if need be. And nearly last location, that bow doing it.
We will definitely continue this conversation in one moment. I do want to say that at this point in the race, Milla has forfeited. He did just find his go mode item, so get your GGs in chat for Milla as well, please. But yes, as to Zen, as to that, you were both up on the mountain very early. Or not very early, about the same time, and you both cleared everything and just skipped Tower of Hera.
It was a pendant. I had no reason to do it when I could go clear. Swamp.
Yeah, it was a 2-item pendant at that. I was just making that comment before you joined. It makes sense. You had so many other things to go do, so you both decided, why would I check this 2-item pendant dungeon? But I think we will have Milla joining us in one moment, so we'll have that discussion with him here as well. GG Milla.
GG's, thank you. GG Zen.
GG Milla.
Yes, what a bow location.
Yeah.
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 We were just saying you were both up there and you both didn't do it. And the other thing that we were talking about is that the powder was in there too, so you couldn't even fake powder your way to a bow. The mushroom and the powder were there.
Okay, I didn't get the mushroom because I dipped after getting powder.
No, those were the 2 items.
I was actually just thinking to myself, this seed doesn't have any fetch quests. Then all of a sudden they all show up late.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked my early game routing. I think I had Dark World access less than 15 minutes in, and I think I had Thieves Town done in less than 25 minutes. So I liked the way it started. Then I just kind of hit a wall.
Yeah, we were talking here in the commentary booth. Both of you had fantastic early games and stayed pretty much on par with each other all the way through. And then you both hit a wall at pretty much the same time when you needed the fire rod or the bow or any other number of items, and none of them were coming up.
Yes, I did Death Mountain much later than I normally do, and I saw the hammer on the island, so I was like, well, great, now I gotta come back when I find the mirror, but thankfully the mirror was right next to it. So I was able to get them together. And then I decided to do Spike Cave, which was Bombos, so I was like, alright, that's kind of a crappy location for Bombos, so I'm going to do Ice Palace and hope that there's something good in there, and an Ice Palace is empty. And I also suck at bomb jumping, in case you didn't realize.
Yes, you nearly stopped my heart completely when you made the bomb jump in Ice Palace on your last bomb, and then were dancing with the fire rod through the fire bar
Yep.
for the entire rest of the room.
Yes, that was very stressful, but it worked out.
Zen actually went in there with Kane of Samaria, but also ran into a little bit of bomb problems.
Yeah, I almost ran out of magic, and I was like, I can't do this room. I'm like, oh god, I gotta drop and I gotta do iced tea the long way. And it was luckily I found all the items, at least I think it did, unless I mistracked, and I was like, well, that's lucky.
Even if you didn't, there was nothing in there, so.
It wasn't. Both of you went into Ice Palace at different times with different loadouts. One of you having Fire Rod, one of you having Bombos, one of you having the Cane of Samaria, one of you not. You both did Ice Palace completely differently and both about the same amount of time. Just out of order.
Then I went straight to Swamp after Ice, and the Cane of Samaria was in there. I was just like, I should have came here first. Like 9 times out of 10, I would do Swamp first, but because Bombos was in such a terrible location, I was like, all right, like if this leads to something, like it could be really good. But
Yeah, I figured like I had missed something early on because I didn't go Eastern and Pod till much later than I probably normally would have. And when I found that fire rod, like I was standing around in Eastern, I'm like, do I keep going? Do I mirror? Do I keep going? Do I mirror? And eventually mirrored and left. It took me too long to figure out what to do. It's like I just got to go and finish what I can and hope that the bow is not in the back of Eastern.
Yeah, both of you putting off the Eastern area until late game. Zen, you ended up doing a triple dip of Eastern and back.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't finish it. If Bo's back there, I want to correct this mistake as soon as possible to have a chance. Luckily, it wasn't in there. I was like, right, now where do I go? And it's like, well, Desert was late because we didn't have Flute. Flute was logically bow locked, so Desert's not the right play. So go to Hera and see what's up there in the Spike Cave.
The big thing we were having a conversation about with Spike Cave was that the cape giving you logical access to Spike Cave was bow locked.
Where was it? I don't remember, honestly.
I don't think I found the cape.
It was on the bow lock side of Pod.
Oh, was it?
So we're like, so Bombos is out of logic because even though we have cape, first Milla went in and got it completely out of logic, and then you found cape out of logic, so it was still out of logic even though we had cape. And
yeah,
we were
that
just
means,
trying to
yeah, those only 2 checks would have been the only things that were available then.
So we were just trying to figure out where on Earth, and then so once you found Bombos, we're going. So Turtle Rock is open, but it's open out of logic. It was a bit of an interesting.
Well, if I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have full cleared it.
Yeah, we were wondering if that's what it was, if that was the case, because we actually had a discussion with chat too, and there was a little bit of confusion as to there used to at least be a way to do in logic Spike Cave with hearts in a bottle, but there was discussion that was taken out at some point.
Yeah, I've heard that too. It was like 14 hearts in a bottle, and it was in logic at one point or something like that.
But so I don't know if either of you can confirm, but in the event that you do need that invulnerability item, basically, it was out of logic because we needed to find Cane of Burna somewhere, which no one found.
Nope.
So it was either in Desert that I don't think anyone dipped into, or somewhere in GT.
Yeah, I'm curious where the second bow was. I think Zen told me, Ganon told him it was in his tower somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere in there. I didn't find it.
Yeah.
I only did like 9 checks, maybe 10 checks.
11 actually.
Okay.
Because we were counting, right?
Yeah, after I found that bow, I was in go mode. I was on my way to finish basically just Helmasaur and Armos Knights because I'd already done the dungeons, just not the bosses. And I was like, I'm gonna take a look at the screen. I was like, oh, he finished. I might as well just like if I didn't have much to go, I would have ran it out. But I was like, I still have to beat 2 bosses and climb GT. Like,
Yeah.
Alrighty then. Guess I'm gonna come in and congratulate you both on a great race and Zen on the victory.
Thank you.
I'm not entirely sure. I haven't checked, I gotta admit, when game 2 is.
Wednesday, same time.
Okay, Wednesday, same time, so you all know. I can't promise there will be a restream. Maybe there will be. We'll check for sure. Any final words from anybody of you? Any one of you?
Just thank you to everyone in the crew, who trackers, restreamers, commentators, and you guys for organizing this. It's been great. So thank you guys so much for your hard work and dedication.
I will second that. Thank you very much for the restream. Thank you for volunteering your services to broadcast this race. I wish I could have played better, but congratulations to you, Zen. I look forward to Wednesday.
Yep. See you then.
Yep.
All right then. Thank you all so much for watching, Corey and Zesno. Thank you so much for commentary, and Yoinka's Wire for tracking, as Zen already said. And I hope you're all going to be back for another restream on the other channels or here back on ZSR. That's it for today. Thank you all for watching. And let's rate a Link to the Past randomizer runner who is not having that many viewers and could benefit a follow, I'm sure. Thank you all for watching.